Okay, welcome students back for the next lecture for Fall 2020 Psych of Adolescence. I am Professor Newman, and this is Chapter 2, Biological Foundations. Biological foundations, we're going to look at hormonal changes, physical changes, primary sex characteristics, secondary sex characteristics, and cultural and social and psychological responses to puberty. So, puberty is the period of rapid physical maturation involving hormonal and bodily changes that take place primarily in early adolescence. It derives from the word, or puberty basically is a Latin word for to grow hairy. The body undergoes a biological revolution here, so that dramatically changes the adolescent's anatomy, physiology, and physical appearance. The endocrine system is key in puberty. So, the role in puberty involves the interactions of the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, also known as the master gland, and the gonads or sex glands. Now, the endocrine system monitors eating, drinking, and sex. The pituitary gland regulates the glands and secretes follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. The gonadotropins are the testes or the ovaries. These secrete your sex hormones. The sex hormones are those powerful chemicals secreted by the endocrine system that are carried through the bloodstream, or through the body, through the bloodstream, I should say. The main class of male sex hormones is androgens, which we know one of the main ones is testosterone. And the main class of female sex hormone is the estrogens, or what we call one type is estradiol. Now, interesting fact here that males and females will have both testosterone and estrogen in their body, and testosterone is very key in sexual desire for both genders. Now, physical growth during puberty happens. Of course, we know people start getting taller, getting bigger, things like that. The growth spurt occurs about 2 years earlier for girls, around ages 11 and a half, than for the boys, which is 13 and a half on average. The girls will increase 3.5 inches per year, while the boys will about 4 inches or so during this period. Weight gain follows roughly the same timetable as height gain. Girls will gain hip width, while boys will gain shoulder width. I'm still waiting on that. Not all parts of the body grow at the same pace, so there's something called asynchronicity. It's also a term that some people may use, say, for instance, lanky or gangly looking. So it's basically, it explains the gangly look in early adolescence when the extremities, like the arms and the legs, grow faster than the rest of the body. Now, one of the things you need to understand here is that not only is there changes in physical characteristics, there can also be changes in psychological or psychological development, things like that. So let's talk about primary sex characteristics. So egg and sperm production. Menarche is the first menstrual period. I think we mentioned this in the first chapter. And during that time, how can I put this? So, women are born with about 400,000 immature eggs in each ovary. This drops to about 80,000 by puberty. Once a girl reaches her first menstrual period or menarche, one egg develops into a mature egg or ovum about every 28 days. Females release about 400 eggs over the course of their reproductive lives. I always thought it was a lot more, but I was incorrect. You may have thought the same thing. Now, the term menarche for females is the first menstrual period, but for the males, the first production of sperm is a spermarchy. There are 30 to 500 million sperm per ejaculation. Now, the male-female reproductive anatomy, there are changes prepare the body for sexual reproduction. Male penis and testes grow. Female releases ovum with each monthly cycle. And female doesn't start ovulating at first menstruation. So you need to understand that. I know there are cases where first menstruation somebody has gotten pregnant, but that is rare. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying it's rare. Some of the secondary sex characteristics are, for instance, bodily changes that are not directly related to reproduction, for instance, like hair growth in pubic areas, under face, underarms, face, hairiness on arms and legs increases, sweat glands in the skin increase production, deepening of the voice. Males grow hair on their chest, shoulder, and back. Females will experience breast growth. Now, the order of pubertal events, the female order. Usually you see pubic hair start, then breast buds, then the growth spurt, growth of sexual and reproductive organs. Monarchy happens, underarm hair growth, and secretion of increased skin oil and sweat. That's why a lot of people complain when they hit puberty, because they're concerned with acne. For the male, growth of the testes, pubic hair growth, growth spurt, growth of the penis, deepening of the voice, or I should say deepening of the voice, spermarchy, underarm hair, secretion of increased skin oil and sweat, and facial hair, of course. Now, there's also changes in physical functioning during puberty. The heart, the lungs, and the physical performance, for instance. So the heart size will double and heart rate falls. By age 17, average girls' heart rate is 5 beats faster than the average boys. Lung vital capacity among the, basically it's the amount of air that can be exhaled after a deep breath increases rapidly. Increase more for the boys than the girls. Boys overtake the girls in physical strength at this point. Now, one of the things in our society that's an issue, especially in the United States, I should say, and in some other countries too, is the problem with obesity. So obesity is exceeding a specific body mass index. So about 20% of American adolescents are obese. Diet and exercise are a major cause. Mom and dad are busy working full time. Now, I know during Corona things have changed, but on average, parents both work. Kids may play sports. The adolescent may play sports. So after the game, parents are tired. They decide, let's not cook, let's stop at McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's or whatever fast food place. Well, we all know that that's high in sodium, high in fat. Not always good to eat too much of that. There's also American lifestyle, or people are more automobile oriented, and a lot of adolescents will do sedentary activities like playing video games or watching TV instead of exercising or playing a sport. Steep declines in physical activity from middle childhood to adolescence, so they're not exercising as much. Also, soft drinks and junk food machines in schools. Now, that has changed. And a lot of people aren't going back to school. They're doing a lot of it online. But for a long time, especially when I went to school, we lived on those things. The soft drinks in the machine, the bad food in the machine. You guys at college, when you were in class, probably stopped by the vending machine at one point or another to get something to eat. Excuse me as I have my soft drink. So, also physical functioning and emerging adulthood. Peak bone mass reached in the 20s, and maximum oxygen uptake peaks in the early 20s. Cardiac output peaks at age 25, and reaction time is fastest in the 20s. So you're seeing all this go on also at the same time. Now, culture and timing of puberty. Always remember, you are in what we call an individualistic culture. We also handle things different based on our cultures. So in some cultures, puberty is a scary thing. So puberty begins early in cultures where good nutrition and medical care are widely available. There's also a secular trend on age of monarchy. Within countries that adolescent girls are from affluent families, menstruation can be earlier than girls from poorer families. and there are a lot of theories in the United States why or why it has decreased in age. People have decreased in age before they get their first menstrual period. For instance, girls have decreased over time. There's a lot of theories. One of the theories is that consuming dairy products, we're the only species that continues to imbibe on dairy products after infancy. So, and with the pasteurization process, hormones, things like that, the theory is that us introducing them into our system could bring on earlier onset of puberty. Now, it's not proven. I have not seen any research proving it, but it is a theory out there. Reaction range. Genes establish a range of possible development, and environment determines where it takes place within that range. Now, let's look at other cultures. So there are puberty rituals that do occur for males and females. In the United States, for instance, in some parts of the United States, they do what's called a princess party, where when a girl has her first menstrual period, then they throw a princess party. I'm glad I've never had to deal with that. Majority of cultures have some kind of ritual initiation into adolescence. Monarchy often initiates a monthly ritual that lasts throughout a woman's reproductive life. Puberty rituals for males do not focus on a particular biological event. Typically, they require the young man to display some form of courage, strength, and endurance. They're often very violent, seen as necessary to face life's challenges as a man. Some will even require boys to submit to and sometimes engage in bloodletting of various kinds. 79% of cultures had puberty rituals for girls. So both male and female, you do see those things. Now you will see in your text actually some tribes doing their male rituals. So make sure you're looking at the text. Now, parent-adolescent relations in puberty. American majority cultures, relations become a little more cooler. Not cool as in, hey, you're cool, but cooled off. And that has a lot to do with adolescents needing their own autonomy, developing their own identity. They're trying to get away from mom and dad to kind of be with friends. And actually, if you're a parent, one of the things you need to be prepared for is during adolescence, you don't necessarily matter as much to them as their peers do. So, and that is totally normal. So don't feel that, oh, I don't have a relationship with my kids when they hit adolescence. It's more or less they'd rather be with their friends than their parents. Now, there are exceptions to every rule, but a large percentage of the adolescents rather be with their peers than their parents. Well, think of you guys as adults. Would you rather hang out with your friends or with your parents? Just think of it that way. There's conflict increases, and a lot of times that has to do with I want to express myself a certain way. I want a haircut. I want to dye my hair purple, or I want to get a tattoo or an earring or whatever. It also could be over curfew or bedtimes or things like that. Totally normal. And actually, G. Stanley Hall talked about the concept of storm and stress, which now we know for a fact that more recent research shows that is not necessarily the case, where the parent-child interaction is conflicted or there's a lot of conflict within it. So in turn, that's actually been proven wrong. Even though G. Stanley Hall came with that concept, it has been proven wrong since then. Physical closeness is less likely also. So no more kissing your kid in front of their friends, things like that. It's not the same in all other traditional cultures. Girls often grow closer to their mothers in these traditional cultures. Again, remember, you're talking traditional culture is also considered a collectivist culture. So it's about the family, the community. So you're more likely to spend more time with family in that kind of culture. Now, personal responses to monarchy and semenarchy or spermarchy, whichever one you want to use. How the girls will respond? Well, modern day America, they feel more grown up. Increases in social maturity. Prestige with peers. In other cultures, girls provide little to no information. Fear and dismay during this time period. Some cultures have negative beliefs about menstruation. And then, of course, the concept of PMS or premenstrual syndrome. There's actually a psychological disorder in the DSM now called PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Now, the boys, on the other hand, respond. They enjoy the pleasurable sensation of it. They feel more grown up. They guilt, surprise, fear, possibly. They rarely get info from parents prior to experience. So, again, it's an experience they're learning as they go along. A lot of times they get information from peers. So, now, late and early pubertal timing. In traditional cultures, eligibility for traditional rites of passage are based on pubertal maturation for girls. Adults of community decide when boys are ready, but girls, basically, you're seeing that with menstruation or monarchy. In developing countries, it's age graded in the school system, but comparisons are consistently made in these cultures. So, when it comes to pubertal events and maturation, you have to look at the effect of early and late maturation among males and females. So, early and late maturation among the girls, the early effects are especially negative. You might see higher rates of depression, negative body image, eating disorders, cultural values of image of tall and thin. So, like TV, the pretty people on TV, I want to be like this person, or the Kardashians, or whatever. And because they're not necessarily the same body type or frame, they may have issues with that. And you see you see high rates in females, or higher rates than males, in eating disorders such as anorexia nervosa or bulimia nervosa. So maturing earlier, you're drawing more attention of the older boys. They start behaving older also because of that. Late effects are more minor, so you might get some teasing because you didn't hit puberty yet. And we're talking females now, or breasts haven't developed, so they may be made fun of because of that. It's sad, but it's true. Even in the United States, in the United States, late maturers sometimes are made fun of, whether they're male or female. They have a negative body image before puberty, but they get a more positive body image in their later teens once puberty is started. Now, for the boys, the early effects are mixed. So you have more favorable body image. All of a sudden, I'm growing muscles. As you can see, I'm still waiting for puberty. So, but they have a more favorable body image. They're more popular with the other boys. Oh, you're growing a mustache. I'm going to hang out with you. They achieve greater success later in life. But they're also involved in more delinquency, sex, and substance use, or earlier onset of those things. Late effects or late maturing for the boys, you see lower grades in school, substance use and deviant behavior in their early adulthood. So, now, you are made based on your parents, meaning your physical characteristics. You have a genotype. With that genotype, you are given genetic makeup. That is your genetic makeup. Your phenotype is the unfolding of your genetic makeup into physical characteristics: brown eyes, brown hair, skin color, whatever. Any physical characteristic, height, weight, things like that, all passed down genetically. But that does not mean that all you are what your parents are. A mix of your parents, I should say. So you also have an environment that plays